departure and return, and again coding the cheapest fares in green and the most expensive ones, you wouldn't be surprised to know, are coloured red. And I didn't say how to find Google Flights. Just go to Google, then search for Google Flights. So I never mentioned that. Now, the Explore Destinations is a feature that's perfect for somebody whose bucket list of travel destinations is huge. A bit like me when you listen to my show every week. I always want to, right, that's another one on my list. If you let cheap fares dictate your next trip, check out Discover Destinations. Here you can select a date range and then choose from North America, South America, Africa, Europe, Asia and Oceania. Google Flights brings up a map of the chosen region as well as options for specific cities. For example, maybe you're looking for a week away in May and you want to go to Europe. You may find that Amsterdam, London and Paris are a bit pricey in the week you're looking at, but Berlin, Frankfurt and Istanbul are on sale. This particular feature helps travellers who want to visit countries in no particular order and where they want to go first. Another option is you could use the airport date cabin tips. So say you're searching for a flight to a specific European city, but you're still flexible on the destination. Once you're on Google Flights, choose the dates and enter the airport codes. Airport codes are very important because they make sure you don't get the wrong airport, which is a topic I've covered on many times. So always make sure you know the airport code. And the airport code is like Heathrow is LHR, Luton is LTN, that sort of thing. So you know you don't actually go to the wrong airport, which people still do, especially when it comes to Sydney. You can imagine that you're going to Sydney in the winter, well, our winter, so it's nice and sunny there, but you end up instead of Sydney, Australia, you end up in Sydney, Nova Scotia. So airport codes are very important. But anyway, back to this feature. Not only does the search engine check for the best prices for your date range, plus or minus 3 days, but it also searches for the best options of nearby airports. You can sign up for fare alerts and track prices. So once you've chosen a specific destination and dates for a trip, you'll have the option to book the trip, share it via email, Facebook, Google, etc., Google+, or track the price. Once the feature is turned on, Google will monitor the itinerary and send you an email with any significant price changes, and also there'll be travel tips for the specific destination. A recently added feature now predicts whether a fare will expire soon. Once the flights are chosen, this feature suggests what the price would be after it expires. But this only applies to fares that are expiring, which means it's not available on all searches. And finally, get lucky. If you use this feature, you must specify the dates of travel before clicking on the map. Once the map is visible, click on the I'm Feeling Lucky button to the right of the search, and the search engine will choose a random destination for you. So as I say, it's peak booking time next month, January, and it's worth getting the practice in now so you can make sure you get the ideal trip for you at the best possible price. If you've played with Google Flights in the past and you have one or two tips I've not mentioned, please do share them at facebook.com/John Guinn Travel Show. You can follow me on Twitter at holiday_hut. So as I mentioned before I went on to about Google Flights, that sometimes it can be difficult to trust prices when you look at the internet. The thing is, once you're in the trade, you know what's possible and what isn't, and sometimes you forget that just because you know something, the public don't. So you have to be very, very careful how you advertise things. And an online travel agent was found to have breached the advertising code after a customer complained to the Advertising Standards Authority, the ASA, that they couldn't book a flight at the prices shown on the website. Now, to be honest, if you're in the trade, you would know that the prices change, but if you don't say specifically, then you can run into trouble, such as in this case. The website was www.ethiopiansairlines.co.uk, which is not part of Ethiopian Airlines, and it advertised on the 13th of August 2016 flights to Harare, which is in Zimbabwe, if you can't guess from my pronunciation. Economy class, London to Harare, even at £505 per person. And an additional flight was priced at £515 per person. Now, the customer who complained to the ASA challenged whether the flights were available at the prices shown. The company is Tickets House Limited, who were trading as Ethiopian Airlines Enterprise, explained that the airlines categorised each type of service into multiple subclasses that had differing prices. They said that when the cheapest subclass was sold out on a specific flight, the next applicable, more expensive price would apply. Now, everybody in the travel trade knows this, and hopefully you do as well, so I've mentioned it a few times on the show. But anyway, the company said that a customer would be provided with a fare quoted on their website if it was available. If that fare was not available, they said that they would ask the customer if they could be flexible with their travelling dates, and then they would provide them with another quote. The company went on to say that at the bottom of each web page, the text clearly stated, "Our website should not be considered a representation of the airline. It is to provide options for flights and promote sales worldwide. Fares are subject to availability." They then provided the ASA with invoices which showed that they had sold tickets at the quoted fares at the time when the ad was seen. The ASA understood that Ethiopian Airlines Enterprise is an online travel agent, and because of that it has less control over flight prices than if a flight was booked directly with the authorised airline. However, the ASA considered that the claims flight to Hurrah even £505 per person or £515 per person were likely to be understood by consumers to mean that, at the time the ad was seen, that they could book a flight to Zimbabwe for the stated price, or prices, and that there would be no additional costs associated with those flights unless they were for optional extras. The ASA considered that if this was not the case, then dynamic nature of flight prices, the possibility of fare changes and information about limitations on availability should have been made clear in a prominent statement, and by ensuring that prices were described as from X pounds. The ad did not make clear that the fares were indicative of the last updated price, and also did not provide information on how customers could find the most up-to-date price. In addition, the ad did not state when the most recent update was, and Ethiopian Airlines Enterprise had not provided information to demonstrate that the prices were updated frequently, or that the quoted prices were based on genuine fares which were available when they were last updated. The ASA considered that the invoice provided by the company were not sufficient evidence that the quoted prices were genuine, particularly because they all post-dated the time the ad was seen. They noted that Ethiopian Airlines' assertion that their website stated fares are subject to availability, but because it was in small print at the end of each page, the ASA did not consider that the text was sufficiently prominent and was likely to be overlooked by consumers. The ASA noted it was not clear from the ad whether the quoted prices included non-optional taxes, duties, fees or charges that applied to all or most buyers, as required by the CAP code. The company did not provide information to demonstrate that this was the case, including the invoices they provided. So the ASA concluded that the ad was misleading and breached CAP code, or CAP code, edition 12, rules 3.1, misleading advertising, 3.7, substantiation, and 3.17 and 3.18, prices. The ASA said that the ad must not appear again in its current form. The company was told to ensure that in future their prices are updated regularly, that they held evidence to demonstrate the advertised flights were based on genuine fares available at the time prices were last updated, that it should be clear to consumers that when that was and whether prices were subject to change. Also, to ensure that prices which were subject to change were described as from fares as well, that magical phrase, from. Finally, the online travel agent must ensure that prices included all non-optional charges that applied to all or most buyers. If you've been caught out by an advertised fare, what happened? What was the company? Please do share your story at facebook.com/John Guinn Travel Show.
Hello, it's Roy. Yeah, we're on the ferry. We should be in Spain tomorrow afternoon.
Well, be careful. Lots of crooks on the roads out here.
Crooks? You know where I grew up.
This is different. They target British registered vehicles.
Yeah, they used to do that round my way.
I'm serious. They'll tell you there's something wrong with your car, so you pull over, then they rob you. Or they distract you at a motorway stop. They target hire cars, too.
Hire cars?
Yeah, well, they're driven by tourists.
Oh, OK, I'll watch out.
Good. So, looking forward to the drive down?
Yeah, well, I was.
Thieves in Spain have been targeting hire cars and UK-registered vehicles, so be extra careful on the roads. For details, visit gov.uk and search for Living in Spain.
You can keep up to date with travel news and leave me a message at facebook.com/John Guinn Travel Show. Okay, so on show 199, I'm actually going to do a non-travel story. But as this is from our friends at UK ECC and it's Christmas time and it's National Consumer Week, I thought that I would share this with you. Specifically if you're off to get your presents from Europe in some way. Consumer advice organisation, the UK European Consumer Centre, is advising UK consumers to be switched on to their rights when shopping for electrical goods online within Europe. As National Consumer Week gets underway in the UK, which is the 28th of November to the 2nd of December, the UK ECC says that its research shows that electrical goods such as audio, visual, photographic and information processing equipment bought in Europe continue to cause problems to UK consumers. There is more than 200 complaints and inquiries in 2015 alone. Electrical goods such as mobile phones, computers, cameras and TVs are some of the most popular goods brought online within Europe, according to the European Commission's Commissioner for Consumers. Try saying that after a few sherbets. She said that the competitive cross-border offers are expected to increase steadily in the digital single market. The UK ECC advises UK consumers buying electrical goods online in Europe that there are 3 key areas of consumer law that they should know about. There's pre-contract information. All online order buttons must now be labelled with obligation to pay or similar unambiguous, unlike my pronunciation, unambiguous words. A consumer should no longer be caught out by any extra payments such as pre-ticked boxes for payments such as insurance or gift wrapping. These sort of things are illegal. Consumers must also be given details of cancellation rights, return costs, complaints procedures and redress. If you are asked to acknowledge that you have read through and understood the trader's terms and conditions, normally by ticking a box, don't just tick the box and move on, make sure you read through them, and if there's something you're not happy with or do not understand, seek further advice or clarification. Your rights when you buy. Consumers have 14 calendar day calling off period during which a contract can be cancelled for any reason, including a change of mind. Unless otherwise stated in terms and conditions, consumers have to pay the return postage costs. The trader must then provide a refund within 14 days. Upon cancellation, any auxiliary contracts such as warranties or finance are automatically cancelled too. This right is enshrined under the Consumer Rights Directive, which harmonises key consumer rights across the European Union for all types of distance contract purchases. It includes online since June 2014. This saw one of the biggest changes in consumer law for some years, reducing several pieces of legislation into one, making consumer rights clearer and easier to understand. For the first time, it gave better protection when shopping online. The third thing is if the product goes wrong. When consumers buy goods, they've entered into a contract with the seller. The EU Consumer Sales Directive protects consumers when buying goods. These goods must be described as satisfactory quality, fit for purpose made known and free from defects. Under the Consumer Sales Directive, if the goods are faulty or do not conform to contract, consumers may be entitled to a repair or replacement and in some circumstances full or partial refund. Any non-conformity is presumed to have existed at the time of purchase unless proven otherwise by the trader. After the first 6 months, the consumer must prove that the goods were faulty. If the goods were second-hand, the purchaser must take into account the age, condition and price paid. Consumers get the same rights when buying second-hand goods unless a fault is related to reasonable wear and tear or they were made aware of any faults before purchase. Andy Allen, the UK ECC Service Director, said, "Arguably, online shopping has become the norm for many people. As this trend to less personal shopping has grown, it has led to more money being spent online. The ECC Net's 10th anniversary report in 2015 showed that 1 in 6 businesses now sells online and that e-commerce accounts for 7% of retail turnover in the EU alone." And he also had these further words of advice for consumers shopping online. "It is always important to know who you are dealing with. When you're using a trader's website, try looking for their address before completing your order. It may not be in the Contact Us page, but possibly in their terms and conditions. If the address is difficult to find, ask yourself why. What is the